Hi, this is Ruth, Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today I've just got a couple of things that I really need to get off my chest, and I thought, what better way to kind of like just really connect with everybody on the other side, because I think some things that came up for me are really important for other people to hear. So kind of what's coming up is I spent an amazing day with some amazing women, and I will tell you, it's kind of been kind of interesting is how everybody is on their own journey and kind of opening up to their own energy and their own abilities and how to connect and how to disconnect and all of those wonderful things. But it's also, so you have all these abilities and you're kind of working through all of that, but then you also usually have a healing journey that kind of goes along with it. So you're kind of like healing things that you've been through or things that you've, connected with. And this could be from like your parents, from relationship, from your siblings, it could be anybody. And so that's kind of really what today has been about for me, is kind of just understanding like where everybody is. And I will tell you that everybody has a different journey, and it's really something you should put some blinders on, because so many times people tell me like, I wish I was as far along as you are, or I wish you were that, I'm saying I could have learned this earlier, I should have learned this 5 years ago, whatever else. Hear my heart on this. Everybody's on their own journey. Everybody is on their own journey, and it doesn't matter where you are on that journey. Put some blinders on, like literally just put some blinders on, because so many times people are like, oh, I wish I would have learned that when I was 5 like you did, or when I was 10 with it and I'm now in my 40s. Then you weren't meant to learn that lesson, and that's okay, and that's a great place to be. But I guarantee you just weren't ready for that lesson, or you weren't ready to get it. Otherwise, you would have gotten it. Does that make sense? So it's like, so many times people will tell me that like, I wish I had this, or I wish I had that. And it's like, you're wishing for it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. It's one of those only if you're meant to have it. And it's kind of like whatever you're ready for, whatever step of life that you're ready for, that's what's going to come at you. And do the best you can, learn as many lessons as you possibly can, and move forward. Don't hang on to the stuff that doesn't work anymore. The stuff that doesn't work anymore isn't the important part. I have clients that I've seen for years, and it's one of those that are like, well, this happened to me, I'm in my 50s now, and this happened to me when I was 5 years old. So for 40 some odd years, you're hanging on to the same old icky energy. Or my mom said this to me, or my dad said this to me. And I was like, I get it. Like, there's some harsh things that people say. I totally understand all of that. But I will tell you, if you're still stuck like it just happened, or if you tell other people about it over and over again, you haven't let go of it. And it's one of those, your parents might have said it to you once or twice. Or maybe if they said it to you 50 times, how many times have you said it to you? How many times have you used that as justification for everything else? Well, because I grew up in a very harsh childhood, I'm saying like, it's okay for me to be harsh. No, it doesn't give you the right. It does not give you the right to treat anybody else differently. But I guarantee you, so many people use things like that as like a weapon. Well, this happened to me, and that happened to you, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, really? It's not important the lesson, how you learned the lesson. It's important the lesson that you learned. So if you learn the lesson of not other people controlling your energy, or not letting people do this, or learning to set this boundary, or learning to kind of deal with this way, or whatever it is, then you learn the lesson. The how you learned it, the person who was a total blank person who taught you that lesson, that's only how the universe used that person to show you that lesson. Well, saying I have people that tell me all the time, like, well, I've had people that have cheated on me. Yeah, that's how you learn the lesson of how to be truthful and how to be a true partnership with someone else. But if you're hanging on to like, my last boyfriend cheated on me, and the one before that cheated on me, and it means you didn't learn the lesson. If you keep repeating that same lesson, that's how you know you're dealing with it. And I kind of think it's kind of an interesting thing when people tell me that they've learned this lesson, but they'll tell me about that lesson 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 times, and it's like, you really haven't learned the lesson. You think you have, or you've kind of hoped that you've done with that lesson, but you really haven't. It's one of those, not until you can go, I learned about being a true partner. I learned about how to be caring and communication with the other partner or whatever else, and expect them to hold a standard with me and I hold a standard with them. Then you learn the lesson. It's how you communicate about it. And I will tell you, the people that are still working on some life lessons, it's kind of funny because usually the people around them kind of roll their eyes. Like they'll be like, that story again. That story again. That's how you know it's kind of like this has gone around and around and around and around, and they haven't been able to let it go. That's the sad part, is they're still living in the energy that they grew up in, that toxic or bad or whatever it is, or they're still living in the energy from their last relationship or their last relationship, whatever it is. And that's kind of the sad part, is they're still living in that energy of it. They haven't learned the lesson. All you got to do is learn the lesson, and then you're ready for the next lesson. But it's like, you didn't get this, so we got to keep teaching it, almost like a teacher. Like the teacher's going to keep teaching that same lesson over and over and over and over and over and over until you're like, I've passed it. I got through this. And if you have someone that comes up to you and be like, this is the, and you're like, no, you need to go on down the road. That's when you know, like, I've learned this lesson. I am not going back there again. And once you do that, that whole thing just like passes you by, and you're like, now I'm ready to step in something new and different and exciting. That is the cool part about life, is once you learn that lesson, it's in you, it's ingrained in you. You kind of get that for the rest of your life. And as long as you kind of keep not having to relearn the same lesson, you keep getting new and different lessons, and you really end up with an amazing life, with amazing people, with amazing days and happiness, and being just joyful in what's going on. Even if it's kind of weird or strange, or, you know, like, that's not the restaurant I wanted to go eat at, but this is where we went, or this is not the place I wanted to shop at, but wow, they have great stuff. Whatever's going on, if you catch that energy and just kind of like go with the flow, and, well, we'll see, this is not the store I wanted to go to, let's see what they have, you connect into that in such amazing, abundant ways, and just kind of go with the flow of what's going on. Not that you can't ever have your opinion, because you can have your opinion, you certainly can have your opinion, but it's one of those, like, if you're so like, it has to be my way or the highway, those are the people that are stuck in old life lessons, or they're stuck in a lesson from their childhood that they haven't been able to move forward into. And that's kind of like the sad, harsh part, because I think that's kind of the, why are you staying in the same lesson? Why are you staying in that same energy of something that you could have learned or should have learned a long time ago, but you didn't? So let's do some angel cards. I wasn't going to do angel cards, but they said do some angel cards. So this one is the one that's popping up, and maybe you only need to do one. The 5th house, and this is the passion. The passion is, if you're really set on passionately healing yourself, that is something that you should do. That is something that you should really move into. And when you're ready for that next teacher, it's going to show up. This card is all about the transitions and the climate. Whenever you're ready for that next teacher, that next life lesson, that next whatever, it's going to come in, and it's going to be at the right time, at the right energy, the right climate for it. Everything is going to be like perfectly matched and aligned, and you're going to be ready for it. It's going to be like, yeah, this is where I needed to go next. Virgo. This is all about digesting information. Like when people come at you with something, it's one of those, like, really think about it. Doesn't mean you need to incorporate it into your system in a true digestion. The digestion is in the information of it. Wow, they said this, and I don't want to go there. So I'm going to set that as a hard, fast rule for myself from now on. I'm not going there. And when you set those life lessons for you, it changes everything else in your world. It changes everything else. And that is the cool, funky part about life, is that when you're ready for the next teacher, they're going to show up. When you're ready for the next lesson, they're going to show up. When you're ready for whatever's next in your life, it's going to show up, and it's just going to start opening doors. It's not like, oh, I need to do anything. It's just like, here we go. Here's the door opening. Opening. All of that energy is ready for you when you're ready for it, but you have to be ready for it. this card was popping out, so the side I want to look at it, and this is the North Node. This is all about the future. When you're ready for your future, it's ready for you. All you have to do is get your work done, and it'll be ready for you. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.